Good morning, Pearland. Well,
Good morning.
how's it going? We're
Right there.
looking right here. We are starting a new live format here with the mayor. We have a series called Talk of the Town, and we wanted to try something a little bit different. And so this is a Talk of the Town live, kind of like our in-person events that we do once a quarter. But we wanted to do a little sit-down conversation, a little 30, 45-minute Q&A, just a fun, candid conversation, live talks about what's going on in and around the city. And right now we're planning on... oh. All right, so give us a little bit of grace here because my microphone wasn't on. Is my microphone on now? Can you hear me now? Okay.
Josh, just make sure. Am I on?
Are you good?
Good.
Yeah. All right.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
So we're learning as we go here.
Yeah.
So last Wednesday of the month, little sit down coffee with the mayor. We both
Right.
have actual coffee because you got to have that to get the day going.
Well, it's the first cup of the morning, and so greatly needed. And this is meant to be informational as well as interactive. I know it's online, so we're looking for questions. We're going to bring some questions that have already been keyed up a little bit, but also be able to answer your questions along the way. And as I became mayor, 3.5 years ago, one of my promises then was to be interactive and engaging with the community. So that's why we have our quarterly Talk of the Towns, and we're trying to not only keep that moving forward, but also let's come monthly, and have a podcast where we can engage with the community and answer questions and hopefully build trust in our government.
Yeah, so as this is live, feel free to put questions in the comments. We'll see those here, and we'll try to answer them as we go. And anything we don't get to, we'll cover in the next episode. And if we run out of questions, then I'll just start asking questions. I actually do my first question. So you said this is your first cup of the day. No judgment. So it's 9 o'clock already. I know you're an early riser.
Right.
So how early did you get up this morning?
So my alarm goes off around 5:30.
Yeah, and you get up and walk, right?
And I get up and go do a walk. I do about 3 miles just about every morning except Sunday. And so I do that.
No caffeine?
No caffeine.
Until 9 o'clock?
Yeah, no caffeine. I've not had any coffee this morning.
You haven't yelled at anybody? Or
I haven't.
You haven't? I
haven't.
Maybe this is...
It's been good.
I had, like, the first thing I get up, and I get my pour over going, then get the boys up and get them. I got to have, I need to have that to get going. But maybe I should try walking.
Well, and I don't carry a phone, no electronics, nothing, and so it's just my time
just
to
me time,
kind of be alone and get my thoughts ready for the day. And
do you take the
all
same
that good
path
stuff.
every time, or do you explore different areas?
I pretty much the same path. I live off of Pearland Parkway and Order Drive, so I'll head up Pearland Parkway. I'll sometimes I go around the park. Sometimes I go around the high school. But I just kind of have I know what registers plus or minus 3 miles, and so I just kind of carve it out each day. And
what's the significance of 3 miles? Is just what you decided?
I used to do 5.
Oh.
I used to do 5, and I've just cut it back. My legs won't let me go much longer anymore. For those that know, I've got a right leg that I've had 3 surgeries on over the years, and the next one I get is a replacement to the knee. And so I'm just trying to keep healthy by keeping active. I think the key to longevity is mobility. If you look at our former mayor, Tom Reed, who was with us for till he was 97, almost 98 years old. I mean, he had healthy legs and a healthy core for many, many years. And so I think that was one of his keys to his longevity, was keeping healthy through those types of things. And so he lived it. It was an example. He was a mentor to a lot of us. And so certainly taking after him, almost 10, 11 years ago, I decided to go on a health journey to lose about 45 pounds, which I did.
Wow.
And I don't even want to see those pictures. It's pretty ugly. But lost 45 pounds, and in the process, I get up and I walk. So I probably clock 1,500 to 2,000 miles a year when you add that all up. So I don't walk in the rain.
Sure.
And I don't walk on Sundays.
Yep.
For the most part. Every once in a while,
rest.
if I have a few days during the week because of weather, I'll walk on a Sunday. But I even walk when it's in the 20s. I just bundle up a little bit and get after it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I just saw a comment. They said they can't hear anything. Joe, can you? We're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we're just
One quick aside about Mayor Reed. This is a story that I've always loved. So when we did the rededication, the reopening of the library across the street, after the event, everything's closing down, and he was walking to the parking lot, missed the curb, didn't realize it was a step down, stepped down and fell, right? And he was 94, 93 at the time.
Right.
Fell and like rolled and popped back up real quick. And we were all shocked, amazed. And he said, my paratrooper training kicked in. And that was Mayor Reed. But he, you know.
That's him.
Yeah.
That's him,
and
in a
something to
nutshell.
aspire to.
He never skips a beat
Yeah.
with anything like that. I will tell you, so funny story, I was at Constellation Field back in the late fall, was with some folks there with my wife, and I was walking backwards in the parking lot, and I went off the curb.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah, and it was one of those things that I, in an instant, knew I was going down,
Yeah,
and
slow
so
motion kind
I
of.
actually tucked and rolled and came straight back up in one movement, and everybody just froze, and they've gone, "Oh my God, is the mayor okay?" And I looked and I went, okay, I have my arms and I have my legs and nothing's broke. I'm good. Just like that. And
Well, there you
yeah.
go.
And so, but had I resisted,
Sure, yeah.
oh,
Yeah, it could've been way worse.
I might be in a sling
That's
today.
literally rolling with the punches. I mean,
That's exactly it. Rolled with the punches. So, yeah.
Okay, so we got our first question in. We'll do the online questions. I do have some on paper, but Kim Huggett wrote in, why are you trying to grow the city with a 4-story apartment building when you can't maintain the infrastructure with the current population?
That's a great question. Actually, I'm not trying to grow the population by doing that. The market is. So I'm very much a believer that the market will speak, and if you go against that market, the market will win every single time. So, the place behind the town center has been a focus for many years. I think we would all have loved to have had an entertainment, venue there. But the market just isn't allowing that to happen. As far as maintaining infrastructure, yeah, we're behind in street repair and maintenance. Kim, previous councils didn't fund maintenance and repair. That is a known fact. They didn't. Back in 2014, it was mentioned then that we needed $4 million a year, and they funded at about $1 million a year. I was not mayor until 2020. So with that, we've been trying to beef up and get some of our infrastructure up to par. It also doesn't help that the last 2 summers we've had droughts. It is a known fact that the droughts cause extreme disrepair to asphalt streets, and we don't create droughts. Those are extreme events that happen. We have to roll with that, and it is a challenge that is facing our city, and we are up to meeting that challenge. In fact, Monday night, some plans to beef up our maintenance of asphalt streets was presented to council. Again, it takes dollars to do that. We're looking at upwards of hopefully deploying somewhere around $5 million to do that in this calendar year and get many of our streets up to par. I will tell you, we do have limited staff in being able to do that. So we could throw a ton of money at it. We would still have to go outside and help do that with contractors.
Yep.
So I think the message was sent by council to help do that, and that's where we are.
So, in follow-up sort of comment or question, and I think it's a valid one. City controls what can be built through development planning and things like that. And so her comment should control growth based on infrastructure availability. So what are your thoughts around that? I mean, we do obviously a lot of long-term planning.
Sure.
And there's projections for how we should grow.
Sure. I mean, that's our comprehensive planning, which we update we do deep updates about every 10 years or so. We do periodic updates about every 4 or 5 years. We're in the midst of one right now. In fact, in May, I think we have the current comprehensive plan review coming up for adoption by the council. And so it is a plan and it is a guide. It's not a thou shall, this is etched in stone, this is what it's going to be. It's a plan.
Yep.
And again, if a particular tract of land is zoned out, in this case, the town center and others, that is a rezoning. So that is something up for council prerogative. And council chose to rezone that property. Okay?
Because it had sat.
Because it has sat for now 18 years or so.
Sure.
In its current state,
which is the market driving.
Right, which is a market driving that. As I said on Monday night, I would have loved to have that been an entertainment venue. I would have loved it to have been an office venue, creating jobs, in the town center. But the market isn't saying that. Now, to the other points, if something is currently zoned, and somebody comes in and wants to put forth a plan to meet that zoning. By Texas law, we can't stop that.
Sure.
We do have controls over building codes and facades and those types of things that go in, but we can't deny a permit. If we do,
it's by right.
If we denied that permit, then you and I and our taxpayers would be in court,
right,
with a vested right case, paying damages to them, and they still own their land.
Yep.
So the only way you're going to stop building is the taxpayers have to own 100% of the property in town, and that would talk probably $500 million in order to go do that.
Yeah.
That's not feasible. It's not practical. That's certainly not in the spirit of Texas law and Texas property rights.
Sure.
So zoning is one of those things that there's a fine line between actual property rights and control from the community.
Yep.
And you can go overboard and get too restrictive and really push the limits of property rights. At the same time, you can be the city of Houston and be anything that you want.
Right.
And we've heard it loud and clear. People don't want to be Houston.
Yep.
Okay. And I don't want to be Houston. I want to have a controlled environment where we look good, where we feel good. But at the same time, I think market forces need to be allowed to be looked at.
Sure.
Because the market will be right 100% of the time.
Yeah. Well, and I talk about this, being the community of choice, and I mention it this example too when I talk to our new hires about bond elections, right? So the bond package we did in 23, at council, at least from my perspective, was very adamant about, these are the things that are projects that need to be done.
Right.
But let the voters say whether or not they want them to happen.
Yeah, I think bond programs and large capital projects like that need to go to the voters for various reasons, right? You need to get the buy-in from the public, but also it's going to have tax implications on people's property and their property taxes.
Yeah.
So we need to have those conversations with the public. And in this particular one in 23, most of it was focused on drainage, right? And I want to talk a little bit about that. In fact, we had a drainage CIP workshop on Monday, so I'd welcome anybody to go back and look at that video and
that was a great presentation.
And watch that presentation. But for the last 25 plus years, the city has been involved in improving drainage systematically over time. This is not something that you can go and do in overnight, in 1 year. You can't even do it in a 5-year period. But we live in a very flat area. We're so close to the coast that a 1 foot in elevation rise is 1 mile. So it's a very flat terrain. And so in order to have proper drainage, we have to have places for our water to go.
Yeah.
We're not on the coast and we're not right at the bay. So all of our water goes into Clear Creek or Mary's Creek or Cowards Creek and through Friendswood and then over to the bay. And so we've been systematically over the last 25 years working the system to get large retention areas in a particular area And then now with the 23 bond program, most of those projects were locally focused. They were focused on a particular neighborhood, going in and fixing, their drainage issues in particular neighborhoods.
Because if you did those first, the water had
The
nowhere
water
to
couldn't go anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
So you could go and spend a bunch of money and increase the size of pipe and those types of things in a particular neighborhood.
Sure.
But the water can't go anywhere. You've just spent a bunch of money and there's no improvement.
Right.
So you have to have the downstream, impacts and improvements, and then you work upstream, and now you can fix neighborhoods. We just completed Willowcrest, subdivision that's been around for about 50 years. We went back in, this was part of the 2019 program. We took those storm sewer pipes that were literally like 24-inch and put box culverts in, so we increased their capacity along with some detention, and at the same time, under a drainage program, upgraded their streets, water, sewer, all their drainage. So now they're set up for the next 50 years.
Yeah. So maximize the efficiency and the effectiveness of the work being done there.
That's correct.
I think about it too, like I talk about water a lot, but the surface water treatment plant on the west end of town, that's been in the works for 20, 25 years.
Correct.
And 25 years ago, there were the expectations of population growth that really hadn't even hit Pearland yet, but were going to. But there was also, much less in terms of water conservation technology. Low flow toilets and base level education, things like that. So back then, the best estimates based on planning and data driven approach to the work that we do said we'll need 20 million gallons a day. When in reality, someday we might, but really we need 10 million gallons a day. So that's hitting a moving target like that, urban planning is really challenging.
It's hard, and I will say, and I'll give Mayor Reed, credit for a lot of this as well. We've done water planning for many, many years. What people don't understand is we can't just snap our fingers and go build a plant.
Sure.
These are multi-year projects just under construction, let alone the development of it. Yeah. And so to your point, you're hitting a moving target. I don't think anybody would have anticipated that from 2000 to 2008, 9, 10, that we would have grown at the rate that we did.
Yeah, that's staggering.
That's not common. And so, you've got plans in motion that over some period of time that the city was going to grow from that 20, 25,000, 30,000 to 200,000 and beyond. And so, you've got to have resources to do that. So we secured water rights, Brazos River water rights in the mid-90s. Way before our growth, really started exploding, and then we secured a site for that plant back in the mid 2000s, knowing at some point we were going to need that plant site, and the plan was to get us off of groundwater. The longer we go with well water, we are sinking, we are subsiding as a city. Our whole area is. And so we know we needed to move water off of groundwater into surface water, hence the surface water treatment plant and coming out of the Brazos River. At the same time, buying water from the city of Houston is also a very valuable option.
Yeah.
So we wanted to diversify our water resources, city of Houston, groundwater, and surface water, so we don't have all of our water in one bucket. Right. And so I think it's important that we've done that. Now, fast forward, we started this plant in earnest, probably in the mid, somewhere around 2016, 17, getting the engineering done and then under construction, and then now we're just now completing that plant. And now we have the available 10 million gallons a day. Yeah. We can upgrade that plant
to our capacity.
Oh, absolutely. And we can upgrade that plant another 10 million gallons over time if we need to. And now we are in a position where number one, we can have the water resources that we desperately will need over time, but we also can be a provider of water to area cities. So we are talking with area communities. This is an option for them. We have to be careful in what we commit to doing that. but certainly we're committed to having those discussions.
Well, and having that diversity, getting back to making us the community of choice.
Right.
Really, I argue water is the most essential city service that we provide, but having high quality drinking water available on demand every time is really, really. If you don't have that, you don't have a community, right?
Well, you can't live without water and air.
Right. Yeah.
That's just basic elements of our human nature, right?
Sure.
If you don't have water and you don't have air, you can't live. Yep. And so it's real important that we have good, clean drinking water.
Yep. And that it leaves,
and that we have good, clean water that gets into our streams and leaves, right? Yep. And we have to be responsible to those downstream, just like the people who are upstream. Yep. Believe it or not, are responsible in putting that water into the stream.
Sure.
And so it's real important that we do that.
Right. And it takes a lot of effort. It's very intentional effort to make that a reality.
It takes lots of effort, and what people don't understand is the amount of chemicals, the amount of process, the amount of time and effort that it goes into processing the water coming in and the water that's going out. It's very important. At the same time, those same pipes, we look at drought conditions this last summer. Mm-hmm. I haven't gotten the numbers, but I know in 2011 we had a massive drought and we had 750 water line leaks. Yep. In that calendar year. We probably approached that number this last summer. And so just imagine these soils moving, well, those pipes are cracking, and so we're having to go in and repair all that. And so those are added strains to the system that people don't see.
Right.
They see it when the water comes up and you've got a crew on site, but when you collectively think, well, that's the only water line leak that's happened in town, well, no, that's happening all over town during the course of the summer.
Yeah.
We have crews that are reacting to that and responding to those types of things at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
And
because you can't just let it sit.
Those guys are first responders, just like our police and fire are.
Yeah.
It's just a different element of response, right? They're responding to our water needs in our community. And so if that same thing is happening in our own water lines, just imagine, on my property, your property, and others, the water line that's going from, the city meter to your house. If the earth is moving and you got any vegetation, trees and those types of things, you have those situations as well. We're finding where people, their trees have caused problems with roots. They've had water line breaks in their own in their own property, and so it's a massive issue across our community. As the more we've grown, the more we've seen those types of effects. So those things do happen, and we're here to address them.
And I don't want to spend the whole time talking. I could talk about water all day because I find it really fascinating. But I do have some other questions.
Right.
So I've kind of gone around, and I was really fortunate on Monday. You're going to love this. The Junior High West 7th graders were here at City Hall, and we were teaching them a little bit about government. And so I asked them, if you could ask the mayor any question, no holds barred, what questions do you want to ask?
Getting ready for this one.
Yeah. So these are unedited, verbatim questions from the 7th graders. So the first one, does he make money from his job? And they're talking about being mayor.
Being mayor. Okay, great. That is a great question. So the mayor in Pearland, along with council, we do get paid. That salary is set by the voters. The last time it was changed and set was, I believe, in 05 or 06, somewhere in that time frame.
And that doesn't count for inflation or anything like
no, that? It's a set rate with no indexing for for cost of living or anything like that. And I get $1,000 a month as the mayor,
man.
And your council members make $750 a month. So when we were, and I say we, it's a family effort, and it's a group effort when you go and run for office. And so when I refer to we in a campaign, it's my family and others that help you get here. We didn't have that salary when I ran in 2000 or 2020, and so we decided, look, we don't have that salary now. I'm not going to use that salary moving forward. So when I get monthly that $1,000, I never even see it. In fact, for the first, I don't know, 6 or 8 months, the city was cutting me a check that was 0, 0. And so I take that monthly salary. They do take Social Security out of it, which is the normal. So that leaves. And then once that's taken out, then half of it goes to the Forever Parks Foundation for the Inclusive Playground Initiative that they've been undergoing for the last several years. And the other half goes to the Pearland Independent School District Education Foundation.
Oh, yeah.
My wife is on that board, and I've got a son that's a teacher, and education is a very big issue in our household. And so I don't even see those dollars. And finally, they said it was just a matter of doing something in my payroll to toggle it. And I said, stop issuing a check. I actually have a check in my desk that shows 0, 0. So if anybody wants to know if I'm getting rich off the salary, I make $0 from the city. But having said that, it is a commitment to our community.
Yep.
It's not about me. It's not about lining my pockets or making a paycheck. Those types of things. And so I think it's real important that we focus on the community and what our needs are and those types of things. So no, we have professional city managers. We have professional employees. They make salaries and have benefits and those types of things. They run that day-to-day operation.
Like my team here.
Yeah, and as a result, I mean, they get paid for their efforts. That's part of what we do.
Right. This is a career choice for
that. It is a career, and yes, there are other elected positions that get paid full-time salaries, like if you're in the county commissioners and those types of things.
Sure.
But it's a different. They run and operate and have a different scope to what they do, and so as a result, we just decided we didn't have it coming into office. Let's not take it while in office, so we get accustomed to it in any shape, form, or fashion. Instead, let's do some good work with it. I'm proud to say we've, so that's close to
almost 5 years.
That's close to $11,000 a year that we donate out. So over coming up 4 years, that's $44,000 that we've donated. Between those two, and I have to kind of add it up every once in a while. I don't think about it because it's out of sight, out of mind, and then you see it, and we just donate it, for those good causes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Real heavy hitting question here. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
Just straight up chocolate?
Straight up chocolate. And if you want to put some, any other chocolate in it.
Sure.
Like that's like chocolate chip, like chocolate chip.
Oh my.
It's death by chocolate. And if you ever watch a council meeting on a Monday night, we have candy bowls in the back.
Oh.
And from time to time, I'll raid.
Where are those candy bowls?
They're on the back counter.
All right, I'm gonna have to slip in there.
And I'll just reach through and it's nothing but chocolate.
Okay. All right.
And it'll be sitting up there, and I might eat them, during the course of a council meeting. So,
what is your biggest challenge right now?
Biggest challenge right now? I think we've talked a little bit about it in the job. The biggest challenge is getting out in front and getting caught up on some of our street repair and maintenance. It is a challenge, but it's a challenge that we've got great employees that will meet that challenge. And I would say in 2 or 3 years from now, you'll see a difference in our roadways. Because we have to meet that challenge.
Sure.
Personally, my biggest challenge on a daily basis, you mentioned it, this is a part-time job, even though I work full-time hours in it. I also have my business on the side, and it's now side. Okay.
Right.
And so I have to balance my business, my family time, and my city time, where everybody gets equal time, right, and a piece, and so that is a struggle. One of the things that I can't overlook. I mean, my family is first and foremost.
Sure.
That is paramount.
They're your why. We've talked about that.
That's the why. It's why I do what I do, and so we have to dedicate and make sure that we have time for our families, and so. No job is too important that your family gets forsaken, and so
100%.
I think it's important that we do that and we keep our priorities, that way. But at the same time, people elected you to do a certain job, and so we have to dedicate the right amount of time and effort, to the job. And so the biggest personal challenge is equalizing that time frame. The good news is, as long as I've got a phone with me.
Yeah.
And if you ever see me driving down the street, 99 out of 100, I'm probably going to be on the phone. I do
Why?
hands free.
Oh, yeah,
I do hands free.
yeah.
I hook it all up and drive. So I return a lot of calls from the truck and those types of things. So it's important that we stay connected to our community, stay connected in business, and obviously stay connected, with the family. So
It's all about connection, right?
that's it.
This is my favorite question and I'm going to figure out something else to do with this because I just enjoy this so much. But one little boy asked, when has the mayor felt like he's done goofed up?
Done goofed up. Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
When
I
have
like
you felt like that? Has there been an
God.
experience recently where you're like, oh, that was not good? Done goofed up. I'm going to get a sticker made that says, done
goofed up. I need
Yep.
a T-shirt.
We'll
Done goofed
get
up.
on that.
Not recently, but in life, absolutely, 100%.
Sure.
It happens. I think we're
Well,
human.
how do you evolve if you don't goof up?
Right,
I mean,
and I will say this. I think over time, I'm a different person today than I was, last year, the year before.
Sure.
Certainly 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I think that's just who we are as people. We learn from those experiences. We certainly learn from our negative experiences where we have goofed up, and so I think that's the mark of maturing and getting better as a person.
Yep.
That means I may walk out of here and goof up.
Right.
Okay, so we're human and we get subjected to human elements. We have people around us. We have people that come at us. We have issues that come at us, and we're human.
Yep.
And so in those moments, we have it. I will tell you, I mentioned a lot about my family, and I've got 3 sons who are great sounding boards.
That's good. That they're willing to do it.
Incredible sounding boards for me. And they know if I call and I'll just say put the phone down, and I'll say okay, I feel better, and we get that out, and I think that's healthy.
Sure.
I think it's healthy as people. You have to have the outlet sometimes, and in this job, I would say it's stressful from time to time.
Sure.
It's not stressful every day. I would say 90% of the time it's very enjoyable. To be in this position. We have incredible people in our community. We have incredible businesses in our community. We have incredible people who work for the city, and I get to interact with those folks each and every day.
Yeah.
I get the opportunity to go and be a cheerleader for our city in the region. We are the 3rd largest city in the metro area, Houston, Pasadena, and then Pearland as far as size. And so like later today, I'm involved with a mayor's council over with BAYHEP. It's an economic development group over in the Bay Area, and we meet once a month with area mayors. And so I get the opportunity to go and interact with them once a month. We share stories about our city, we share experiences, we get to share frustrations and the like all the way through it. And so I get a chance to learn from them, they get a chance to learn from us, and it's a very good interactive opportunity. And so I get those outlets to go and share. But as far as I can't really think of a recent time where I goofed up. But again, that might happen later today.
Well, and I think I'm fortunate, to know you well enough to know when you do goof up, you own it.
Absolutely.
The mayor's very blunt in his in his conversations.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. A few more questions and then we'll wrap this up.
Sure.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely,
Full stop?
especially if it's Canadian bacon.
Okay, that's what I was going to say because I feel like it needs that companion piece to it. This is just me personally.
Oh, not by itself.
Right. Yeah.
It has to
can't
have.
just say
It has to have meat.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, all pizza has to have meat.
I agree with that.
A cheese pizza is not a pizza.
Yeah. It's an appetizer.
That's it. That's it. And just on that, when I go to like Center Court or something like, it's carnivores.
Yeah. That's a fantastic pizza, by the way.
Carnivores.
Yeah.
It's got to be meat, and meat.
Also, their pizza rolls, not to plug Center Court, but I do. It is a locally grown business here, so support local. Their pizza rolls, oh my goodness.
Phenomenal.
I could eat all of them.
Yeah, Grace's Shakes and Pizza, all
Yeah,
the others,
yeah.
great folks. Yeah.
Favorite snack, generally speaking? Are you a snacky person?
I am. So at home right now, it's cheese nips,
Okay. Yeah.
especially extra baked,
Yeah, those are good.
a little extra baked.
Yeah. They get a little bit of that brown crust on them.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah.
We buy the family size box of Cheez-Its from Costco, and they never make it very long.
Yep.
I'm embarrassed to say it. Just like
That's it.
portion control.
Can't just have one.
No, you really can't. All right, last question. Mayor's not shy about this. He wears hearing aids. If you ever get close to him, you'll see him. So this question, do you ever intentionally turn your hearing aids off?
Yes. Yes. Actually, yeah, so it's a great question. For those that don't know, if you know me and you know our family, you know that we have 13 grandchildren. We have 4 adult children and 13 grandchildren. And so, and all of our family live right here in Pearland. And so from time to time, quite often we do have, everybody at the house. So it gets quite loud. And when I have hearing aids in, it gets really loud.
I was going to say, because that amplifies everything.
And from time to time, we have some granddaughters that like to scream. And so it hurts. It literally hurts your head with the hearing aids in. So I will go and take them out and put them on the charger. And of course, my answer there is, Pops doesn't have his ears in, which in order to get my attention, they have to scream even louder. Anyway, it helps me, get through the experience a little bit easier. But
that's fair. That's fair.
But I've not intentionally, turned them off when I'm talking to people or anything like that.
Yeah.
In fact, I have them for to enhance the opportunity to make sure that I'm hearing and understanding. Before I got the hearing aids, I've had a high frequency hearing loss that's just gotten worse and worse over many, many years in my life. Doctors still to this day don't quite know, why, how, what started it.
Wow.
The only thing I can think of is I had a really, really super bad case of scarlet fever when I was in the 2nd grade, enough that I was hospitalized. And a byproduct of scarlet fever is a degeneration of hearing. And so I woke up one day where I just actually annoyed myself by saying what to my wife too many times because I couldn't understand what she was saying. And so I went and made an appointment, got it. I had my hearing checked over the years, but I said, no, I need to go and fix this. Yeah. I was actually missing conversations. I was missing interactions with my grandchildren and other things because I just flat out was not hearing them.
Wow.
And so it's a quality of life issue with me.
Yeah.
The prior to getting these, the worst place for me to have a meeting was in a restaurant. Because I could hear the background noise. The cool thing is I can eavesdrop with the table next door very, very well, because that's considered background noise, and it's not high frequency, and I can hear it probably better than the conversation at the table.
That's wild.
And so so it's just one of those moments. But it's been a quality of life. I wear them every day.
Yeah. Now it's like a superpower.
Some guys and I will say if you're male, female, whatever. Don't worry about the quote vanity. These things are small. They're tucked back. Most people don't know I have them unless they come up behind the bald head, gives it off. If you've got hair, you're going to cover them up and those types of things. I'll give a plug to Beltone. They do a great job. They have a local office right here in Pearland, and that's where I go. And in fact, I should have an appointment coming up where I'll go and I get them checked about every 6 months.
Yeah.
And so they actually have a smaller one now, so I may look to actually change these out to go even smaller.
Because the biggest part probably is the battery, I would imagine.
Yeah, I put them on a charger, so you don't even change the batteries out here. I put them on a charger every day, and they go all day and then some, and so it's good.
So this is going to be hard to believe, but I talk a lot. I know you're shocked by that.
I'm real shocked.
I know. So growing up, one of my hunting mentors was a World War II vet, had hearing aids as long as I knew him. Mm-hmm. He was old when I was a kid. He was probably in his 60s by that point, getting older. When I was little, he seemed old. And, but, you know, being in World War II, he had, I mean, hardly any hearing, and so he had hearing aids. And he would turn his hearing aids off when I was talking to him, because I talked. So one time he said, "Can you be quiet?" And I said, I don't know if I can. He said, "I'll pay you $1 a minute if you can be quiet."
That's hilarious.
And I made $10. I made it 10 minutes, and I couldn't I couldn't. It was a
That was
nice
neat-
round number.
That was a difficult $10 to earn.
That was probably the hardest $10 I've ever earned in my life. But I just talk, and I could see him just like.
So if I ever reach up on the right ear and punch the button, then I'm increasing the volume.
Okay.
If I reach up on the left hand and punch the button, then I'm decreasing the
Oh,
volume.
you have volume up and down.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And it's all on the phone.
Yeah,
which
that's
is real
the neat
cool.
part. Yeah.
It's all real cool. The phone is directly into the ears, so it's all
Bluetooth.
capable and all that. So
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's all the questions I got for this episode. So we're going to wrap this one up. Talking the Town live. Last Wednesday of every month, we'll do sit-down coffee with the mayor. I may be here. We may bring somebody else in.
Right.
We may start doing guests. So submit your questions for the next one. Thank you for joining us for this one, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good. Thank you all.